All right. Well, thank you, Mike. And as always, thanks for hosting this call and keeping us all organized. This week's topic, someone sent an email in to Mike about professional F&I management. And F&I has evolved dramatically over the years. Sadly, I'm old enough to remember when it was very new to the industry. And over the years, the products have evolved, and the selling process has evolved in that dramatically. And solid professional F&I management has become more than just generating a good per retail unit average. Professional F&I management has becoming a manager. And years ago, and in some cases still, the F&I manager is not really looked upon as a manager on par with the sales management staff of the dealership, because, a business manager, a finance manager, whichever you prefer, they don't hire people, they don't train them, they don't fire them, they don't control their pay plan, and basically everything that they manage in their world has to do with a piece of paper. And so, they've always kind of taken a back seat as a management role. I've been in dealerships where finance managers don't attend management meetings, all dealership-wide management meetings, because it is a unique and specialized department, which serves, a tremendous purpose for the dealership. So for having good professional management in F&I, there's a couple things that you want to look for, or traits that you want to look at, develop further yourself. First is, you need to make, just like a salesperson, a good first impression on the customer. And you have to build rapport. And those are probably the first two steps of any type of sales process out there. Change the wording, but pretty much it's make a good impression and be friendly. And start to gather some information. And in doing so, you want to present yourself well, you want to dress like a banker, you want to act professionally. At all times when you go into an attorney or a banker or your accountant, their desk isn't a mess. There aren't things all over the place. Their phone isn't ringing. They're focused on you. Those are professionals. And that's what we need to maintain, is that professional image in the dealership. Because we are dealing with people's private financial information, their credit history, the amount of money that they earn. There's a lot of variables in there that they don't discuss with people in everyday life. And we need to be professional enough and have enough dignity to be able to deal with that kind of stuff without saying things to customers like, "Oh, well, your credit's really shaky, and I don't think I can get you bought." We just stay away from the slang that we build up in this industry, because the average consumer that's coming in, they don't understand any of that. So we want to make sure that we're professional and banker-like at all times. When we present our products to these people, we want to be able to do a fundamental, strong features and benefit presentation to a customer and disclose everything every time. There are so many federal and state laws to be compliant with nowadays. It's almost impossible to keep up with them all. But if you are running a good, consistent, clean part of your business in F&I, you'll never have any problems. It's the dealerships where they're leaving credit reports out, and again, there's federal law violations, and whether or not they come in tomorrow, Big Brother, looking for credit applications out isn't the point. The point is to run a professional operation. And when you're building rapport with that customer, the right precedent to start with every sales presentation is learn something about your customer. Learn something about their driving habits. Learn how long they want to own the vehicle. Find out how many miles a year that they drive. In essence, what I think is most important in the sales part of F&I is the products that I present should really be tailored to exactly the person sitting in front of me. And that, one, it shortens the sales cycle and the sales process to the customer, which is more convenient for them and more efficient for you. And secondly, by gathering all that information, you can change the way that your sales approach is. You're not really a sale, you're really a solution. You have these needs that we've identified, and again, I think one of the best sentences in the English language to be able to say to anybody is, as we discussed earlier, you did say. Because if you can say that, they've already said it. No one argues with their own words. So when I'm building rapport, I ask them in a very friendly manner, very early on. You don't want people having the feeling that you're trying to sell them. That's what gives our industry such a bad name. Everyone they meet, they think is trying to sell them, and they're on guard for it, even when we're not. So I want to ask them a question early on when they first start the process. That's a really nice, expedition that you bought. How long do you plan on keeping your new car for? At the time people finance it, they always have a long-term answer. They literally qualify themselves for you, and they'll do it consistently. They'll say things like, I'm going to keep it till the wheels fall off. As long as it runs good, I'm going to drive it till it dies. I want at least 5 years out of it. But what's the reality in our industry? The reality in our industry is that we know that in 2.5 to 3.5 years, they're going to go to a dealership and trade that vehicle. They always do. I don't believe it's ever been said in the history of the car business, and I've probably only taken a couple thousand turnovers with customers, but with the people that I've trained and been around, I seriously doubt I've ever heard this once. A husband and wife sit down, and they just bought a brand new car, and I asked them how long they're going to keep it for. I've never had anyone say to me, me and the missus have a plan. We're going to trade this baby in 30 months, and we're going to owe $4,500 more on it than what it's worth. So no one's ever said that to me. But that's what they do every day. Those are the things that you deal with in this industry every day. So at the time I ask them nicely, they're going to tell me the truth. They're not guarded. If I pull out a warranty brochure or a menu and I start asking them how long you're going to keep your car, suddenly they can do the math very well, and they unqualify themselves, and there's nothing you can do about it. They say, well, we're only going to keep it for 3 years. Oops, that's because they know they have a 3-year manufacturer's warranty. They kind of take the ball away from us, and then we have to try and build value in something that, by their words, they just said that they don't need. The same thing with other products. If they're not going to keep the car a long time, if they traded their vehicle today and they were a little disappointed in what they got for it, well, a way to increase your value in the future is this protection package. A way to make sure that your vehicle is worth more is to do the maintenance at the scheduled required times. The best way that we've found in this industry to do that and accomplish that is to consistently do your maintenance as it's scheduled. That's why for people like you that qualify and have a need, we have a prepayment program for all your routine maintenances for up to 4 years. Again, there's got to be a benefit for them. You've got to know how long they're keeping it. You have to know about their circumstance as they come into the office. And don't pull out brochures and start to sell people, because the sad reality of that is you can do the best presentation in the world. And I tried this as a young person in this business. I tried to learn everything I possibly could about every word written on that brochure. And by the time I was spitting it out, I think the only people that bought felt like they were hostages and they were trying to get away from me. So I came to learn that knowing everything about the product actually wasn't even as important as knowing some things about my customer. And once I found that, the TOs got shorter, the transactions were smoother, I didn't have products canceled because no one felt forced. They felt they identified a need, and I simply met the need with a product. So to recap this and finish this call, I just want to remind you that, professional F&I, be part of a management team. Present yourself like a banker and act like one. Keep your office clean, professional, and prepared for the next guest that buys a car to come in so that they feel they're in the office of someone who's very professional, because, again, you're discussing very confidential and sensitive items with a customer. And lastly, through building rapport, pre-qualify people. They will identify their needs to you, and they'll do it willingly if you do it in the right manner, and as you're building rapport, you're being professional and you ask the proper questions. So with that, as we have every week, and it seems to be working out better, rather than take your questions now, because everybody doesn't get their questions in, you can feel free to email Mike the questions you forward to me. I'll always answer within the next 15 days. And if you would like to speak to me directly, feel free to do that anytime. I have a cell phone, something with a client I don't answer, but otherwise I'm calling you back. It's Paul Morris. My number is